It's been 4 months since a massive explosion at Beirut's port destroyed and damaged surrounding neighborhoods, killing 200 people and injuring thousands. An investigation has yet to provide an explanation on what caused nearly 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate to explode. But for the first time, senior officials are being charged. The caretaker Prime Minister, Hassan Diab, along with 3 former ministers, are accused of negligence. Diab says his conscience is clear and that he has no intention of being questioned again. He's now the first Prime Minister in Lebanon's history to be charged. Diab was forced to resign days after the blast, but later returned as caretaker. He was only in power for a few months when the explosion happened. That's why some are questioning the judicial decision.
Cheers and chants echoed throughout the Azerbaijani capital. Thousands marched down the Azadlık Freedom Square as one, and much to the sentiment that Turkey and Azerbaijan share. The country celebrating its victory of the Second Karabakh War.
We took the right steps at the right time. With maximum force, we crushed the enemy's head with an iron fist. This iron fist symbolizes our unity and power, and this iron fist has broken the enemy's back. We rightly liberated our territories and defeated Armenia.
President Ilham Aliyev invited his Turkish counterpart, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to attend the celebrations. In an unprecedented show of solidarity, Azerbaijani and Turkish soldiers marched down Baku's streets, shoulder to shoulder.
The South Korean government says it's made progress with the U.S. on the return of installations and bases used by American forces stationed on the peninsula. After their initial agreement decades ago, there have been countless delays in their actual return.
Well, Devin, the Office for Government Policy Coordination, along with the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Defense, says South Korea and the U.S. have agreed to the prompt return of a total of 12 U.S. military facilities to South Korea. This was at a video conference meeting held Friday at the 201st Joint Committee meeting on the Status of Forces Agreement. Those installations in Seoul alone include the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Far East District, Camp Kim, 2 parcels of the Yongsan Garrison, including the South Post, Niblo Barracks, Sobingo Compound, and the 8th Army Religious Retreat Center. The rest all in or near Yongsan-gu District.
This deal between Israel and Morocco.
Yes, that's right. Well, the North African nation is now the 4th Arab country to normalize relations with Israel in recent months after yet another deal brokered by the Trump administration just before leaving. So in exchange for these normalized relations, Israel and Morocco, of course, will recognize Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara. So the first piece that I chose to talk about is from TSA here, an Algerian online website, and they call out the two-sidedness of Morocco's position. They say, on the one hand, yes, Morocco and Israel have long had kind of under-the-table secret commercial and political relations. But on the other, he says the Moroccan king is the chairman of the Al-Quds Committee, which was created in part to support the Palestinian cause. So he kind of ends the article by saying that nothing is irreversible, and he wonders how Moroccans who tend to support the Palestinian cause will react to this development.
India is not historically responsible for climate change, said Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar on the eve of the 5th year of the Paris Climate Agreement. He said climate change isn't an overnight phenomenon. It has taken the last 100 years. Historically, the US has 25% of all emissions, Europe has 22%, whereas China has 13%, and India only 3%. We are in no way responsible for this climate change, he said. At present, India is contributing only 6.8% of global emissions, and per capita emission is only 1.9 tons per capita. In comparison, the emission of the United States is 13.5% of the global emissions, and per capita is 15.52 tons. China contributes 30% to global emissions, while the European Union, including the UK, contributes 8.7%.
We'll start with this. The Chief Justice Mogoeng says there are no set rules on how a judge should behave. He's been defending a prayer against what he calls COVID-19 vaccines from the devil. The Chief Justice says he will not compromise his religion to please anyone, and he will continue praying for what he believes in. Mogoeng was giving the details of the 2019-2020 Judicial Annual Report, which was released earlier this week.
Australia has cancelled the production of a domestic coronavirus vaccine after trials showed that it could lead to false positive tests for HIV. The developers of the drug, the University of Queensland and biotech firm CSL, report that the vaccine did show a robust response to combating COVID-19 in a Phase 1 trial, but finding a fix to the HIV problem could take another year of research. The vaccine was one of 4 candidates contracted by the Australian government. CSL and the Australian government had together decided to stop Phase 2 and Phase 3 trials. The government has instead secured additional doses of rival vaccines, such as Novavax. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical giants Sanofi and Britain's GlaxoSmithKline's candidate have also reported setbacks. On Friday, the companies said that clinical trials showed that their own vaccine created what they call a, quote, low immune response in older people.
It's an all-too-familiar sight in Afghanistan, a coffin draped in fabric, preparing for its final journey. Inside, the body of 25-year-old Malala Maiwand, yet another victim of Islamist militants.
Allahu Akbar. In the 3rd district of Jalalabad city, television anchor and social activist Malala Maiwand was shot and killed along with her driver by unknown gunmen.
The deaths come as peace talks between Afghan leaders and the Taliban continue, and amid a wave of violence aimed at high-profile figures. A month ago, a bomb explosion took the life of radio reporter Elias Dai and injured his brother, child and another man. Days earlier, TV anchor Yama Siyawash was killed along with 2 other civilians in a blast in Kabul. Reporters Without Borders say Afghanistan is one of the world's deadliest countries for journalists.
Welcoming the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi.
Long time no see.
In the midst of finalising divorce proceedings with Europe. On Wednesday, Boris Johnson made a last-minute dash to Brussels in a bid to break the deadlock and strike a trade deal.
We're on a tight ship here. Quite right too.
It didn't go well.
It was a good conversation, but it is difficult.
It was put to me that this was kind of a bit like twins, and the UK is one twin, the EU is another, and if the EU decides to have a haircut, then the UK has got to have a haircut.
Tonight, talks are continuing, the PM warning they're likely to fail. The UK left the EU in January, but rules around trade and freedom of movement have stayed the same. That changes in 3 weeks, with major disruptions predicted.